Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Biblical Victor Podcast. I'm your host, Victor, aka Victor the Inspiration. And in today's video, we are going to be utilizing ChatGPT voice as our co-host within today's episode. And let's get right into it. ChatGPT, today I would like to talk about this post that I came across from Pastor West, where he says, it was a very, very good post, and I wanted to make a video talking about it. He said, who else has this crazy faith that everything is going to work out? And for me personally, before ChatGPT jumps in here, for me personally, is I really do believe you have to have, I wouldn't utilize the word crazy personally. I feel like some people can interpret that a little bit more aggressively than others. But for me, you do have to have this sense of crazy faith, like Pastor West says, in order to really get through your journey. And ChatGPT, before we really begin today's episode, I would like you to formally and briefly introduce yourself, and let's get right into today's topic.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here. I'm ChatGPT and I'll be co-hosting today's episode alongside Victor. I'm essentially an AI, meaning I'm here to offer conversation, ideas, and insights whenever Victor calls me into the conversation. Now that we're all set, let's dive into that bold faith we're talking about today.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm trying to show my screen here. Forgive me.
No worries at all. Happens to the best of us. Take your time. Whenever you're ready, we'll pick right back up on that topic. I'm ready when you are.
Okay. I'll show my screen the next time. So to get into today's topic is, I really do believe that you have to have immense faith to really overcome and get through your journey. So quick backstory about me is I have numerous tests and trials and tribulations within my own life of, living with a progressive disability, me navigating hospitalization experiences for having back surgeries, or being in the ICU because I have an pneumonia and collapsed lungs, or me undergoing a psychiatric hold when I was undergoing a lot emotionally and mentally. And in medical terminology, they call that a mental health crisis. For me, in a spiritual context, is I was going through and navigating an immense spiritual warfare. So things that really, really do help me overcome and get through, these journeys in different seasons, we call life, is you have to have a lot of faith while you are navigating these different seasons, faith that regardless of what it is I'm going through and regardless of how much desperation I am most familiar with or currently navigating, is you have to have an insane amount of faith that regardless of what it is I am going through, everything will be okay.
Your story really highlights how faith, whether we call it crazy or immense, can be that guiding light through the toughest seasons. And I can tell your journey has been nothing short of courageous. So let's take that core message, faith in the face of adversity, and dive into how others can find their own version of that faith. What's the next angle you'd like us to explore?
I would like us to incorporate how can others begin to have faith, but faith in the sense of, not doing anything and expecting change. Faith in the context and in the sense of you having this sense of faith, this sense of belief, where regardless of what it is you are going through, everything will be okay. Now, for me, what it is that I do is, as I was, for example, navigating my psychiatric hold experience, I talk about that process and that journey a lot. Especially in my book, Become the Victor, Turning Trials into Triumph. And this is my book here. You guys can check it out here at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. It is currently only available online. But as I navigate a lot of these, I draw to my psychiatric hold experience because it is one of the most somewhat recent. All of that happened in January 2020, where I was on antidepressants. I was on different mental medications to help me through that process and that journey. And literally from 1 month to the next, I was like, I'm no longer taking any form of medication. I didn't like the way I was feeling, and I began to have that faith that everything would be okay. Began to have the faith that where I am, it isn't where I always will be. And my book really, really does highlight and talk about these different journeys and really documents the steps that I took to get through these different seasons in real time. A lot of it, isn't so much just me reflecting off of my story and writing about it. No, I literally documented as I was in the midst of these different seasons in my life, and I began to document, okay, this is what I'm going through, and this is what I'm doing, and I documented in that sense. So it's very, very powerful, but this isn't a promotional video or anything like that. But, where I'm going with this is you have to begin to adjust your attitude, adjust your behaviors, adjust your reactions, adjust you with where you are within that moment, and began to find the flaws and don't, be disappointed or ashamed for who you once were, and began to focus more on who you are becoming. Am I proud for that individual that caused a lot of pain, hurts, and wounds that I could never take back? Yeah, in the moment I was very ashamed and disappointed in that individual. That individual meaning me. But I began to understand, like, hey, this is all part of your process. And if you really, really, really want to show that you really are sorry, you have to change your behavior. And it doesn't begin by tomorrow. It begins right here, right now. And I began to have the faith that the very next step I am going to be taking is the right one. And regardless of the seasons I was going through and trying to navigate through, I had faith that God is going to guide me, protect me, and heal me along the way.
That's an incredibly powerful reflection, Victor. You've shown that faith isn't passive, it's active. It's the belief that pushes you to take the next right step, even when it's hard. I think what you said about adjusting your behavior and focusing on who you're becoming is key. So let's encourage listeners to embrace that first step, knowing that faith grows with action.
Absolutely. So the very first step that you have to ask yourself and become aware of is, one, you have to become aware that you are doing some form of a wrong. You have to begin to take accountability. You have to begin to develop that sense of awareness where you stop looking outside and pointing fingers as to why you are the way you are because of this individual, because of that person said this or that person is doing that. No. It all begins when you stop pointing the finger at everyone else and you take that courageous leap of faith where you look at that individual in the mirror and you begin to take accountability. It begins with awareness. And after you develop that sense of awareness, then it's all about giving yourself some grace and compassion to forgive yourself for what you didn't know, for you know now. And then you begin to take that leap of faith to begin taking one step at a time. The most courageous thing you can do is to take that first step. And the most courageous thing you can do is to begin taking that step that comes after, and the one after that, and the one that follows after that. And you begin to take a step, one step at a time, giving yourself some grace and compassion to understand, hey, this, although may be who I once was, but it isn't who I always have to be. And that is the power of allowing God to enter our lives, to not only help us heal, but to help us become better because we once didn't know otherwise. But as you begin to make these little adjustments, you begin to correct these little flaws. And again, you begin taking those steps, one after another, then you slowly begin to see transformation. Transformation in the sense of, wow. You begin to allow and give yourself grace. Where you once seen pain, now you begin to see healing. Where you once seen chaos, you are now beginning to find peace. And where you once felt like something was missing, you then come to the realization that God has always been there. He isn't the one that never left. He just needed you to come to find the clarity that He is here, right now, always has been. And although you maybe didn't see Him prior to these life-altering, transformational experiences, you see Him now. And God is more focused on where you are and where you are headed than where you've been and who you once were.
That's a profound note to reflect on, Victor. It's about taking accountability, yes, but also giving yourself that grace, knowing transformation comes step by step. And to everyone listening, faith and growth start with those daily steps. It's all part of the journey.
This is an episode. I haven't posted a episode on like this with you guys for a very, very long while. I apologize. Genuinely, it's just been a very interesting 2 months. It's been an interesting past few years, but these past 2 months has been a little bit interesting. Both good and the bad. Little seasons here and there, but nothing that faith can ever pull me through or pull us through. And but yeah, so I kept telling myself, like there's never really a perfect moment to get back into recording. I was like, just simply do it. So I apologize in the very beginning. It was a little bit messy, but I meant to share my screen, but I had a different camera angle, and I had to play around with my settings and figure that out. But I think this was good. I think this was well. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Although I haven't been creating content like this on this YouTube channel, I have been uploading faith-based music on this YouTube channel, which is quite, to me, profound as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's a little bit different. Usually I share my screen and I have a different style that kind of goes on. But I really, really do like how this video went. Let me know if you guys think, let me know what you guys think. Like, should I just have me like this and then just have ChatGPT in the background, or should I go back to how I used to record, where I would share my screen and do it like that? Excuse me. And but yeah, I really, really do like how this turned out. Everything happens for a reason. So maybe the reason is, me to create content like this. Yeah, I got to think about it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, this video wasn't intended for me to promote my book, but it kind of felt right to do, with the way the conversation was going. But this is my book. I've been very, very busy. In January, I just for those of you that don't know, is on my other YouTube channel, Victortheinspiration. I talked about this much more, but I became an author March 31st, 2025 of last year. And this year, January 16th, 2025, I had officially became a published author. So this is my book, Become the Victor, Turning Trials into Triumph. It's by far one of my greatest and most vulnerable projects that I have ever worked on. It's been a surreal moment. It's been an amazing process. My book is currently only available online at Barnes & Noble and Amazon's website. You can simply type in Victor the Inspiration for simplicity, and my book will come up. Or you can search the book title, which is Become the Victor, Turning Trials into Triumph. And also the links will be available within the description as well. But this book is just my personal journey living life with a progressive disability known as spinal muscular atrophy type 2. I talk about the surgeries. I talk about, what life is like living with a progressive disability, the things that kind of go on behind the scenes and internally within one's mind, as you navigate a life condition that is slowly taking something away from you. My disability is progressive. So by progressive, I mean, as time moves on, my disability slowly begins to worsen. So I'll talk about that experience. I'll talk about me having dozens upon dozens upon dozens of back surgery experiences alone. I talked about that experience. I talk about me navigating pneumonia, collapsed lungs, being in the ICU, and not just once, not just twice, but literally dozens of times. I talk about that experience. I talk about my psychiatric hold experience when I underwent a mental health crisis. And spiritually speaking, I don't medical terminology is called a mental health crisis, where I was on a psychiatric hold. Spiritually speaking, I was undergoing a spiritual warfare, and I quite didn't understand what was going on. But I began to navigate these different seasons of my life, and little did I know, like, my intention wasn't to write a book. My intention wasn't, again, to write a book. All I was doing is just literally documenting my life, where I would say, I would have like a title, and then I would write the date. Okay, written on March 31st, for example, 2019, for example, and or say March 30th, 2020. And I began to do that, and then I would talk about, okay, let's talk about my back surgery, or let's talk about my mental health journey, what's currently going on with my mental health. I also talk about grief. Yeah, I lost a very close aunt of mine who I was very, very close to. I lost my grandmother, who was more like a second mother figure to me. So this book isn't just me sharing my own personal life journey, but I literally document what it was I was going through with my life, but also what it was I was doing, and that helped me overcome these different seasons. It's a very, very powerful book. If you're undergoing depression, this book is for you. If you are going through anxiety, this book is for you. If you are going through desperation or going through hardship or navigating a very trying and turbulent life path, this book is for you. If you're going through, if you're a serial entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur and you're in the business world, this book is for you. If this book, in addition to all of this, I talk about a lot about defeat the enemy within, and by defeating the enemy within, I'm talking about the doubts, the moments we feel ashamed, disappointed, discouraged. The enemy within, that those negative thoughts that creep in that tell you can't get through it. Nothing is ever going to get better. And I talk about defeating the enemy within. And to put it simply, if there was nothing great on the other side of what you are currently going through, then why is the enemy trying so hard? It is because they do not want you to see what lies ahead. And a lot of us get stuck where we become blinded and we fall into the trap that nothing is ever going to get better. And that couldn't be further from the truth. I talk about that within the book. Defeat the enemy within. It's a powerful book. It's very moving. It could be biased because I'm the author, right? But I am not trying to sell you anything. I genuinely just believe that if you read this book, it will change your life. And I say that because the Victor you see right here in front of you is living in a miracle. I shouldn't have made it out of the hospital, but I did. I shouldn't have became healed, or let alone transformed after my psychiatric hold experiences. But I'm here. I shouldn't be going against the odds. But I'm still here. I literally am giving you the tools to defeat the enemy within, to become the victor within your own story. That's what I want. I want you to hold on to one more day. Because when that day comes, you begin to remind yourself again, hang on one more day. Hang on one more day. Hang on one more day. And you not only give yourself and allow the opportunity to have a fighting chance with what it is you are going through, but you slowly begin to understand why everything happened the way it did. So my message is simple. Your greatest test will become your greatest testimony. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Please let me know, how did you like this video? Did you like this style of video? I personally did. I really did enjoy. I think this is better than how I used to do it. But I think I'll do both styles. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Please let me know if you liked the video by liking the video, commenting down below what you personally valued most or took value from this video. Please let me know. Feel free to offer constructive criticism if there's something that I didn't do or should have done, or feel free to offer constructive criticism. I am always seeking ways to improve and become better. And subscribe if you guys are new. As always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Again, my book is available online at Barnes & Noble's and Amazon's website. You can simply search Victor the Inspiration within the title, and you will find my book. This is my book here. It is also on my social media, and again, it is also linked within the YouTube description. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And again, as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.